And then we are ready for the next speaker, which is Sharon Lynn Chu from Texas A&M University. And she will be presenting Augmenting Children's Creative Self-Efficacy by performance through enactment-based animated storytelling. Sorry. Welcome.
Okay. Hello. Hi. Thank you, everyone, for staying till this last paper session. And it's been a long 3 days. So I'm Sharon, and I'm here today with Dr. Francis Quek, and we are from Texas A&M University. Okay, is that better? All right, so today I'm presenting about creative self-efficacy and children. So my work addresses a core problem that occurs at around the age of 8 to 11 years old in children. So at around that age, we see that many children retract from creative engagement and creative activities. So at this age, drawing, singing, dancing is no longer fun for them, and we see a precipitous drop in creative activity and academics in children. So this phenomenon has been called the fourth grade slump by Paul Torrance in 1968, based on extensive psychological studies that he conducted across grades and across countries. So essentially what happens is that at the onset of speech, the child starts creating and does so until the age of 8 to 11. So at this age, we see a sudden drop in creative activity in the child. So some children get out of it eventually, but many of them don't. So one of the most likely reasons for that is that this period is one of intense changes in the child's development. It is located precisely at what Piaget called the concrete operational phase. And during this phase, the child is starting to gain increased social awareness of her role in society and what she has to contribute to society. So she starts critically evaluating her creative products more, and often this leads to decrease in motivation to engage in creative activity. Also, what happens is that during this stage, children are starting to transition from concrete to abstract or symbolic thinking. And for example, at fourth grade, children are asked to change from learning to read to reading to learn now. So now the expectations are heightened, and their skills level and the fact that they're transitioning to abstract thinking may not match the requirements of tasks in school. So we still see that today, even though the studies of Torrance was done in 1968. We have seen that in our own interviews with elementary school teachers. And this quote from one of our teachers highlights the importance of supporting the child's story creation process. The teacher said, when the students, edit sentences, they do fine. But ask them to do something, create something on their own, and they're like, I don't know where to start. So we are attacking this problem, and our approach is to use the power of children's pretend play to support creativity. We know that despite all, children are creative and full of imagination during this period. We can see that if you observe their pretend play or their role play. In our work, we harness children's capacity for pretend play to allow them to express stories in a more formal way, using the medium of animation and allowing them to, in this way, bring perception back into their loop of creative thinking. So we have been developing this work over a period of almost 5 years now. So we started by asking the question of how could changing the medium of creation affect the child's creative process? So we conducted a study where we compared children creating stories using a text-based medium such as PowerPoint and creating stories using a stop-motion animation software. So what we saw was that children in the animation software session made use of body enactments extensively to brainstorm, generate, and express story ideas. So this innate ability of enactment to support children's creativity, as I said before, can be seen in children's pretend play. So we used this approach of enactment and went forward with it and conducted more formative design studies to help to inform us how do you start developing this approach. So we conducted studies that inform us on what are the physical affordances of objects that help to support children's imagination best during story enactment, or what are the digital representations of backgrounds that's needed to support the children's imagination best during story enactment. So at this point, we got evidence and we showed to a certain extent that an enactment-based approach can help to support children's imagination and can help to improve the quality of children's story products. So we embodied that approach of enactment-based storytelling in a system called DIME. So the basic concept behind DIME is that children's enactments are translated to 2D or 3D cartoon animations using motion capture technologies. So the physical setup of the system consists basically of 4 tripods on which there are 8 OptiTrack cameras each. You can see it in the picture over there on the left. So children work in pairs to use the system. One child works as the actor and the other as the director. So the actor's space is in the center, and the director sits at the side looking at the large screen display. The actor child wears markers that are easy to slide on. They are just like wristbands. And they can use physical props that are adorned with reflective markers to act out scenes. So the children would create story scenes using a software interface that uses a film strip metaphor, the picture at the top, that's displayed on a large screen display. So you can see here in the picture a pair of children creating their stories. And what they see on the screen would be the real-time animation of their cartoon character as they enact their stories. So let's look at one example of a cartoon story that a pair of children created. Oh, by the way, all the cartoon stories that the children created in our studies can be found on our YouTube channel if you want to go and look at it. One second. All right. I'm going to play it directly. Okay, I changed computer just before that. I think the videos didn't get exported, so I'll basically show you how it looks like on the YouTube channel. I'm sorry. All right. So, what you get? Let's look at this one. I'm going to fast forward a little bit here.
We switch computers. You keep going. You keep going. Just keep talking. Sorry for technical difficulties.
Sorry. All right. Let's keep going. Sorry about that. Hopefully that'll work now. So I'm going to scrub through this. So the children also wrote their story, so we have these up on the YouTube channel as well.
Whee! Brandon's on a roller coaster ride, and the cart he's on snaps.
Oh no! Hey guys, wait up!
Hey, help, guys! Hey, help! Hey, look, there's a flashlight.
Brandon was walking in a cave. He spots a flashlight and some cool gems.
Hey!
All right, so here is what the children actually did.
Okay, ready? Set. And action.
Whee!
Brandon's on a roller coaster ride, and the cart he's on snaps.
Oh no! Hey guys, wait up!
Okay, so we pilot tested this DIME system in after-school programs to test aspects like what is the physical setup that's needed, how many children per group is required, and how much does the children have to practice the system to learn how to use it. So we had a revised version of DIME that was used, that was developed after that. So at this point, we know that DIME can enable children to create a story through enactment. So this paper here, we focus on the particular issue of self-efficacy, because although we have shown that children can have increased imagination during pretend play and enactment, many studies that use drama or, say, performance studies, interventions to support children's creativity per se have shown that there are no effects. All the studies have shown failure. And so we were wondering, what's the effect of DIME on children's self-efficacy given those personality variables? Because remember that I said that during the period of a 4th grade exam, the child goes a period of intense self-evaluation and self-consciousness. So obviously you can think that the overtness that's required in drama interventions may not work. All right. What's happening here? So the study that we conducted was with 20 children over 2 summer camps. And before the study, we gave a personality questionnaire to the parents to fill in for their child. And at the start of the study, we started with ice-breaking game to get the children to know us. And they filled in a pre-questionnaire that basically asked them about the level of creative self-efficacy using questions like, I am good at coming up with new ideas for stories, and they have to rate it on a 5-point scale. And we also made them fill in alternate users tests to see the baseline level of creativity coming into the study. The children created 2 stories, one using the dime system and one using traditional methods of writing and drawing, resulting in a comic study. And of course, we counterbalanced the order. And after each story creation session, they wrote a formal essay of their story. And at the end of the story, they fill in a post-questionnaire that measured their general attitudes towards different storytelling methods, and again, the level of creative self-efficacy with the different storytelling methods. So for those variables that resulted in scores, we basically generated mean average scores for each variable for the pre-test and the post-test. And for the story writing quality of the formal essays that the children wrote, we used a technique called the consensual assessment technique that basically consists of asking a panel of 4 experts to rate all the children's stories on dimensions of creativity, richness, coherence, and structure. So what we found were kind of interesting. There was 2 main points I will highlight later. Let me go through the results in detail first. So we did see an increase in self-efficacy of the child after the enactment, but the picture was quite complex. So for kids who are highly extroverted, there was actually a decrease in self-efficacy after the enactment. For those who were medium, who scored medium in extraversion, we see somewhat of a little bit of an increase in self-efficacy after the enactment. The biggest increase in self-efficacy was seen in those who were introverted, the children who were introverted. Same thing happened in terms of their attitude towards, or their general preference towards the different storytelling methods. In general, we saw that there was a general preference for enactment-based storytelling methods against, say, typing or writing, but the picture was more complex. So this time around, for highly extroverted children, enactment was rated the highest, with typing and writing lower. Same pattern for those who scored medium on extraversion, but for children who were introverted, the trend reversed, where they rated enactment the lowest and typing and writing the highest. In terms of product, the actual essays or stories that the children wrote, we did see generally a better story written after enactment-based storytelling, but that didn't happen for all the groups. For those children who came in with a high creativity baseline level from the start, we saw that they actually wrote better stories after doing the comic session. Same for those who scored medium on baseline creativity level. The only group that did better in terms of written stories was the group who coming in were low on baseline creativity. So those kids created better stories after enacting than creating stories using comics. So I would like to highlight 2 very interesting results here. One is a paradox that children who benefited the most from our enactment-based approach are actually the introverted children. But although they increased in self-efficacy, they did not like it as much. So why? What does it mean? So an explanation for this may be that introverted children benefit the most from what we call the transformed self effect. Basically, the cartoon character provides them with a sort of almost like a mouse that enables them to feel safe while still being empowered to express and contribute story ideas. And why did they have a lower preference for dime then? Maybe it's because of the unfamiliarity of the situation. Because they are introverted, they were not very comfortable with us as strangers during the study. The second point is that children who came in the study with low creativity actually produced better written stories, but children who were high on creativity already did not produce better stories. One reason for this is the ceiling effect. So maybe those children who came in as being very creative already found that the system features did not allow them to express their imagination fully, therefore decreasing their ability to produce more creative stories. This increase in story writing quality for low creativity children occurred only on one dimension, though, on the dimension of story richness, not on story coherence, not on story structure. And why is that? So our hypothesis is that story richness can be expanded upon within scenes. So remember that our story interface was that the children created the story in a film strip metaphor, so they could expand on the story details within scenes, but across the scene, when they changed scene, they were attracted by the novelty of the props. They wanted to use new props for every scene. So that may have led them to lose track of the story coherence and structure as they move from scene to scene. So, on the overall, our vision is to use digitally augmented enactment-based storytelling as a new genre of writing support that can help children to bridge from the imagination, the ideas that they have in their mind, to the formal expression of writing that many of them have difficulty with right now, especially with language-deficient children that we are seeking to work with next. But to be able to achieve this vision in both in formal and informal learning environments, there are a few things that we still need to do. So the future work would be to lower the cost of the tracking system. Right now, we are using the OptiTrack, which is a high-end motion tracking system, just to prove the validity of our approach. But we are also looking at low-cost sensors, and also making the approach more accessible for teachers and students so that they can perform the task independently without us being present, and also how to integrate it better into an elementary school curriculum in terms of the use of storytelling and the power of pretend play that it can bring. And that's it, and I hope that all of you have lots of questions for us. We are looking for it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? So I think I will start off myself. So you already answered the question a little bit. Maybe you can step a little bit this way so the next speaker can set up their laptop. So you developed this interesting work for a rather specific target group and a rather specific goal. So you already answered it a little bit, but maybe you can expand a little bit further on that. So could you imagine it to be useful also for other users?
Yes, so we developed it for children aged 8 to 10 for a reason. So the enactment-based approach that we are advocating is basically applicable for all. Why? It's because even as adults, we use mental enactment to make sense of many things. Even to prepare my talk, I had to mentally enact what I had to say and what I had to do. But for children at this age, since they are in the period of transitioning from concrete to abstract thought, they have difficulty with mental enactment to put this jumbled box of ideas into order in their mind. So enabling them to do overt enactment at this stage is useful. So I'm not saying that the overt enactment would be useful for adults, say, but at this age, it's critical.
Hi, John Tong from Microsoft Research. So if I understand, you show some nice results of how enactment increases creativity, but I'm a little unclear about the role of the digital enhanced part of that enactment versus just them acting out scenes on their own. Can you say more about what the digital is giving you there?
Yes. Actually, that was precisely the point of this study because, like I said, drama intervention have tried just to make children enact their story. And studies have found that these fail. These don't produce any kind of positive results. And that's because we do have children who are introverted and feel very self-conscious when they enact. So what the digital augmentations allow us is to use the cartoon character as a shield almost. The children can still feel empowered to create and contribute ideas, but what the end product, the stories that we put on YouTube don't have their faces on it. But this is their cartoon character, and they're very interested in media, in cartoons, so they're engaged in it. So this aspect of the cartoon avatar providing with both empowerment and a way to feel safe, I think is a critical aspect of the digital augmentation that we're providing.
Okay, but you didn't actually have a condition that compared physical enactment with the digital enactment, or do you think you would see a difference if you compared those directly?
Yes, we don't have a study that compare it directly, but all our studies up to the point before we developed the DIME system was based on just simple enactment without digital augmentation. So we have an idea of the results that we would get, although we don't have a direct eye-to-eye study on that, yes.
I have a question about this slide on the screen now. The very top row has 3 icons. From the left, these are Piaget's stories of our mentalities. I'm wondering if you could explain what those 3 are and whether they relate to your story.
All right, okay. No, yeah, I know. So, I'm sorry. So this is pretty clear. The first, the one on the right, left, extreme left would be the embodiment, the enactment phase. The one in the middle would be the iconic phase, where the children think more in terms of mental images. And the one on the right would be more in terms of symbolic language. So Piaget talked about it, but also Jerome Bruner also talked about it. And the difference is that Jerome Bruner says that we all use all the 3 phases of iconic, gestural, and symbolic throughout our thinking, whereas Piaget says that we actually start with the gestural, and then to the iconic, and then to the symbolic. Does that help to answer what you're trying to say? All right.
Hi, Tim from Aarhus School of Architecture. Just had a very interesting work. I wanted to ask a question about, kind of leading on from Tom's question. Have you considered using animatronics and then using that? It would be, in a way, kind of a mask that the children would wear, but yet it would extend it away from them as a focal point. It would become the puppeteer, in a sense.
Very good question.
Okay.
We actually thought about that. So I didn't present it here, but we did our lit review in terms of all the existing storytelling approaches to support children's creativity that's been proposed in HCI. So we classified it in 3 categories. What you're talking about is more similar to what we call puppeteering, because the child is looking at the avatar or the robot or other things that you want to use, and they're actually trying to control the mechanics of it. So they're saying, oh, in my story, I want the character to say goodbye to the parent. So now I need to figure out, I need to make the robot lift the hand and wave right to left. Whereas what we are advocating in terms of the embodiment approach is the child uses a prior experience, bodily experience that they already have, and they don't have to deconstruct the mechanics that they have, and something that they have to do in more puppeteering-like approaches, those that uses avatars and animatronics and puppets and all that stuff. All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you, Sharon.